If you would pray also for the peace officers, you may have seen the report, and this is true, I think it is true, at St. Francis Hospital in Linwood, the two sheriff's deputies, LA County, that were ambushed and shot in critical conditions, that hospital has been surrounded. I know where St. Francis is in Linwood. How many of you know of St. Francis?
My nieces were born.
So you know there. So they're surrounding that hospital. BLM has surrounded it and saying, I hope the effing officers die. Did you see that report? Yeah, that's the latest. So if you would pray for that situation as well. We are living in dangerous times, literally and figuratively. And my take on it is that we are in a civil war in America, if you look at the parallels, okay? And I have some people tell me, well, this is all going to change when the election is over. This election is not going to change anything. If Trump is reelected, and I hope he is, okay, you are going to see extreme chaos. And you're going to see more anarchy and rebellion against the conservative side of things and against Christianity. Because he is an ardent proponent of religious liberty and supports Christianity. If Harris is elected, okay, and Harris becomes our next president, you haven't seen anything yet. Because she is so far left and antagonistic to almost everything we believe as Christians. And you're going to see, in years past, people are like, I can't wait till the election's over, we can get back on with it, right? That was generally kind of true, wasn't it? Well, whoever won, right? But the country, you got to look underneath the election and look beyond it. It's not about the election. The election's going to be kind of superfluous, actually. You know that? Because all of this is going on right now, and all of this is going to continue, okay? The evil one, Satan, the left, and everything they believe and stand for is not going to stop. Do you think so? So I ask for your prayers for our country. Ask for your prayers for almost everybody, for the pastors, and I want to thank you very much too. These are times like we've never seen before. Thomas Paine, who was not a Christian, said, remember his little pamphlet? These are the times that try men's souls. Yeah. And so we're living in those kind of times right now. So what is the Christian to do? That's the bottom line, right? Well, you know what the Christian does? The Christian does exactly what you're doing. The Christian comes together. And the more I'm learning about coronavirus, the more I am convinced, okay? By the way, did you see that Placer County's public health director just resigned? Because Placer County, God bless their supervisors, had a vote and said, we're going back inside. Did you see that? She quit. Do you know how many public health officials have quit already? How many of you knew Dr. Andy Miller, Butte County? He quit in July. He couldn't take it because of all the pressure and the politics and everything going on. So they're dropping left and right. But I'm convinced that what our church is doing is right. And if anybody differs with that, I hope you have a good conversation with them. I don't know much about coronavirus, actually. I only know what I read, right? Does anybody know a lot about it here? I don't know, But I talked to my good friend, Dr. Eric Nakim at Torrance Memorial Hospital. He's an ER doc. He's been working there for 7 months under this stuff. He says, I'm sitting there, I'm 2 feet away from a tech, I'm 2 feet away from a nurse. I'm with these patients all the time and this and that. He says, if anybody would have got it, it would have been me. And he's just saying the absurdity of this whole thing, too, is just, astounding. But from what I read, and I told the Masons this, you have to have sustained proximity to somebody. And it's going to be aerosols, right? Aerosols in a conversation, person to person, but not for the 2 seconds at communion. You know that? I have some people worried about communion because they're too close to me. I can only stretch so far, okay? No, I'm serious about it. I don't mean to make light of it by any means, okay? I'm not making light of any of this stuff. It's all serious. People take it seriously. I understand all that, too. We want to do this in love. But how long are you interacting with me at communion? Have you run your stopwatch? How long do you interact with the elder at communion? Give me an answer. 2 seconds? 2 seconds? Is that about right? So do you think in that 2-second interaction you have a high risk of possibly contracting the coronavirus? The answer is no. Everything they've studied and said, you have to have sustained contact with a person for like 15 minutes close proximity, talking face to face. You know where that happens? At your kitchen table, in your living room, okay? When you mix with other people, when you sit down and eat, and when you're talking with them and schmoozing with them, when you and Blanche are visiting together in the house, okay, or in the car, right? See, that kind of thing, okay? And so I just want to kind of put away the fears that people might have. I think that we're, that are very unfounded, I think, in a lot of ways. So my take is this. And I don't think you will disagree with me because you're here, but there are some people who do disagree. I believe the way our church is carrying on is in a good way. It's in a good shape. And I think we need to just keep doing that. And, this past week we had a pastor's meeting. I hate to tell you, these bad reports coming in. Churches are dividing over this. There's hostility. There's one pastor, the president of his congregation has resigned because the church came back inside. And the president said, you're violating the rules. And we can't do that as a church. We need to be obedient to the government. Sadly, that's caused a lot of strife. I know another pastor who's come back inside. He wrote to the health department and asked for a variance. And they didn't even reply to him. So he said, well, if you're not going to reply, I'm just going to bring my flock back inside. So I think you're going to see more and more of that. So I just want to thank you personally for your prayers and your support. And even those who disagree have been very respectful about that and honorable and just simply said, we just can't come into the public assembly. I want to encourage people to do that, however. This past week I served Holy Communion to several people again, which is wonderful. And so if there are those in need of the Lord's Supper, and who isn't in need, by the way, I will make accommodations. I'm here to serve. I'll come to your house. I'll open up the church during the week, as we've been doing, and we're just going to carry on. That's all we can do. So, you know what? When your lawn is long, you mow it. And that's what I did yesterday. And it was beautiful outside. It's nice and cool now, okay? And so, we're just going to carry on with the gospel. Read the Bible. The main thing is to preach the gospel, to carry on with the gospel, right? When you read this, what we're going to come across today on Tuesday of Holy Week, this teaching, this opposition, the Olivet Discourse, Matthew 24, Luke 21. What is Jesus really stressing when he talks about the end times? And I think this is what we miss sometimes, even well-meaning Christians. I have one lady who every week says, what chapter in Revelation are we in right now? And I said, well, we were in 10 last week, and now we're in 11, right? We just keep moving through this. So many people have told me, and I've had some friends tell me this and other pastors, and many people believe this, that we are living in the end times. And I would wholeheartedly concur with that. Because the end times were instituted and inaugurated when Jesus came. And we have been living in the end times for over 2,000 years now. And the end is drawing nearer. It's closer, isn't it, than yesterday? But there's one thing in all of that, is that Jesus said this is the beginning of birth pangs, right? This is just the beginning. You know that line, you ain't seen nothing yet? Right? That's true. You ain't seen nothing yet. Okay, you think this is bad? How many of you think this is bad? There's a consensus. Yeah, come on, I'll tell you what, everybody's frustrated. This is across the board. You know that? I've never seen anything. The campfire was a walk in the park. I don't mean to minimize it. It was horrible. It was horrific. The people that lost things. And by the way, pray for them because they're getting flashbacks now. And they're going back, and a lot of us do too, the whole thing, okay? But that brought people together. People were kind. People were loving. This has divided. It's separated. It's pulled people from our congregation. It's pulled people from one another. The politics, the smoke, the health impacts of this, you guys who removed the ash. I mean, by the way, I told the guy, I said, it must not be any fun to live in Ashland, Oregon, right? What a terrible name for a town, right? How would you like to live in Ashland? Okay? So, at any rate, this is far worse than the campfire. The respiratory issues that all of us are encountering, this air quality is far worse than the campfire. The ash, the residue, have you seen it? It's far worse in many ways, too. And there's no end in sight. These fires, the creek fire at Shaver Lake, Huntington Lake, will be contained on October 15th. Containment. It'll be contained on the 15th of October.
Wow.
So, you know how long it will burn? How long will these fires burn? For months. They're going to burn for months until the first rain or snow. So I tell people, get used to it. These fires will not be extinguished. There's no way to extinguish them, right? There's no way to put them out. They're going to burn. You know how fires go, right? They're going to burn for months until the first snow and the first rain. So we have to get kind of used to that. But we have to get used to getting the gospel out there to people as well, and spreading the good word. And I think that's where we really have to focus our attention. So with that, let's turn to the Word of God as we continue on going through what Jesus talked about here in Mark 12. And